Hi everyone. In this week's Immigrant Tale, I'm going to tell you about crossing from the US to Mexico across the border. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke about crossing from the US into Canada, but crossing from the US into Mexico was a very, very, very different experience. I did it to renew my visa, but please don't follow in my footsteps. I didn't do my research. I didn't realize that when I had flown in 3 months before, that an air visa and a land visa are two completely different visas. The air visa was on my waiver system and was stamped in when I got there. The land visa is something you have to purchase at the border. I just thought it was one and the same thing, but it wasn't. And walking into Mexico from Texas, from Laredo into Nuevo Laredo, was super easy. We just put a quarter, which is 25 cents, into the turnstile and walked into Mexico. Nobody asked to see a passport. Nobody asked for any documentation. We just walked in. I was with a friend who had a green card, and we spent a bit of time. We drank a margarita. We had a bit of a look around, and then we got into the queue to come back into the US, and a lot of Mexicans that have working visas or green cards will go back and forth across the border every day to work or sometimes to go shopping, because there's a massive shopping mall there on the US side. And we stood in the queue, and then I came to go back in, and all hell broke loose. They couldn't just let me in and stamp my passport. A very sweet man tried to help me, and then he handed me over to a very angry man, a border control person, who took me down into the office, and he didn't want to let me in, but thankfully the guy who was sitting behind the desk was also really lovely, very kind, explained the situation to me. I had to show them my return ticket to Australia. I had to show them some documentation that I had, and have a conversation with him, and they had conversations with themselves behind the counter. And thankfully, whatever universal or divine powers were with me that day, and finally they sold me the land visa for, I think, $7. He stamped my passport. It all went well. We were let back into the US, and we were able to walk back to the car and drive back to San Antonio, where I was staying. And it could have ended very badly. Thankfully, it ended very well for me, but it was terrifying and one of the scariest moments of my life. Please do not make the same mistake that I did. But hopefully you enjoyed this little immigrant tale, and I will see you again next week.